.97 ERA. College baseball, that's just out of this world. With 328 strikeouts, he still holds the Pepperdine record both for strikeouts and for shutouts. In 1995, he was named a Freshman All-American by Baseball America and the Freshman of the Year in the West Coast Conference in 1997. He was awarded All-American honors by 3 publications and was the WCC's Pitcher of the Year. And I just realized, were you a freshman for 2 years? 1995, you were a Freshman All-American. 1997, you were the Freshman of the Year. Unbelievable. Let's welcome Randy Wolf.
All right, thank you for being here, Randy.
Thank you. I feel like I won the Masters in these chairs. This is pretty cool.
We'll get started. You were WCC Freshman of the Year, All WCC First Team all the years you attended, and 1997 WCC Pitcher of the Year, 95 WCC Champions. What sticks out to you as the most meaningful during your time at Pepperdine?
Well, I mean, the individual awards are great, and it shows that you had a good season, and it's nice to celebrate that at the end of the year. But when you get those awards, it's at the end of the year, you're by yourself. So I think the one thing that sticks out the most was in 1995 when we won the WCC championship, because those are the moments you get to celebrate with your teammates and really enjoy that moment. Plus, it was actually the only year we went to the regionals, which was my freshman year. So, you know, the other 2 years were kind of waiting by. We're at the Pepperdine campus when it was all shut down, staying in the dorms, and we're kind of watching ESPN to see if we make a regional, and we came up short those last 2 years. So when you get to celebrate those moments together as a team, those are the ones that are most special.
You threw a no-hitter versus Gonzaga in 1996. That's the most recent no-no for Pepperdine. Take me through your memory of that game.
Well, you know, I was talking to Coach Hertz from Gonzaga, and the one thing that I am in disbelief about is that it was 22 years ago, and that makes me feel really old. But it was one of those games where I knew I was pitching well, but the other guy was pitching well too, and I couldn't really think about the no-hitter because it was nothing going into the bottom of the 8th. So I was really just trying not to lose the game. I didn't want to give up a home run or something crazy like that to happen to where you lose. And we ended up scoring 2 runs in the bottom of the 8th to win that game, and luckily I got 3 outs in the 9th. The other thing I do remember about that game, it was that there was a left-handed hitter up and kind of a little guy, and he slapped the ball to left field right down the line. And I think it was like the 5th or 6th inning, and when he hit the ball, I thought in my head, okay, but there goes the no-hitter, because usually off the bat you know if it's a hit or not. And for some reason, our left fielder was playing on the left field line and was like right there to catch it. So those are the moments I remember from that game.
After your time as a Wave, you had a 16-year MLB career, including an All-Star appearance and 2 postseason stints. How did your time at Pepperdine prepare you for that longevity in the majors?
The odd thing, the one odd thing that helped me prepare myself for professional baseball at Pepperdine was, I think the only knock I had on it was we had kind of a big turnover at my time at Pepperdine. The coach that recruited me was Andy Lopez, and 2 weeks before school started, he took a job at University of Florida. So the coach that recruited me, I didn't play for him. The guy who came in, Pat Harrison, was there for 2 years. And I had a different head coach, I had 2 different head coaches, and I had 3 different pitching coaches. And professional baseball, that's the way it is. You're going to have a different coach every year, and with different ideologies, different philosophies. But the good thing is you learn so much because you're not learning just one way to do things. So having 3 different pitching coaches, and first and foremost, my freshman year pitching coach, Jeff Zahn, taught me everything. I mean, I was an outfielder who was on the mound throwing as hard as I could, and I had no idea what I was doing. And he came in and kind of taught me how to pitch and kind of the art of what to do out there. And that was a huge impact on my career.
You've already been inducted into the Pepperdine Hall of Fame. What has this school meant to you?
It was a special, special time. It was a very small school. It actually was not. You get 5 recruiting trips. I did not take a trip to Pepperdine. I went to basically all the other Southern California schools and NC State, which is a long story. But I didn't think I was going to go to Pepperdine, even though that was a school that had a lot of sentimental value to me. My dad used to take me to a lot of Pepperdine baseball games, and sitting at that field, if nobody's been there, it has a horrible view of the ocean while you're watching a baseball game. And I'm sitting there watching games, and I thought, as a 12, 13, 14-year-old kid, I'm like, it would be amazing to play here. And Pepperdine, like many private schools, is not inexpensive to go to. So I knew that tuition would not happen, and they had a reputation at that time of not giving full scholarships. So I didn't think it was even going to happen. And then I remember when I got the offer, even though I didn't go on a recruiting trip, to go there, it was an amazing choice. I had amazing teammates, great coaches, and just a great time there.
Dave mentioned in your interview that we didn't get into the video that you were about to become a father. Has that happened, or do you have the child yet, or how's that going?
Not quite yet. My wife is 30 weeks pregnant. It's our first child, so we're extremely excited about it. It's one of the most exciting and scariest moments of my life, so but we're definitely ready for it. Anything else you'd like to add? I just would really thank the WCC for this event and this honor. It really is an honor. It's an amazing experience. I'd like to thank Pepperdine for the opportunity to start my career and always being there. And again, my wife, she came with me my second half of my career. And in baseball, it's a very unforgiving world, and I married an extremely forgiving woman who understood that after a bad game, I may not want to talk for a day, and she understood that. And then at the very end of my career, when I was an aging big leaguer trying to hang on, she was there, and she would drive from Fresno to Reno to follow me around and do everything she could for me. So she's been amazing for me, and she understood that Peter Ban eventually had to grow up, and that's what I'm doing now, having a child.
Congrats, thank you.
Thank you.
And Randy was the pitcher of the year in the West Coast Conference in 1997. I didn't mean to extend your freshman year for 2 years. Our next inductee is from Brigham Young University, Miles Batty. Let's look.
Well, you can follow me down to the school record board, and we can look up at the school records. Miles Batty owns the mile record, 3:54.54, which was also an American collegiate record at the time. 8-time All-American, but Miles really was the embodiment of the term scholar-athlete. He was a 2-time academic All-American Athlete of the Year for track and field and cross country, and had a 3.93 GPA. Not in underwater basket weaving or whatever, but in neuroscience, and then that wasn't enough. He added a double major to that. Success is a function of desire, and Miles had intense desire on the goals that he set. I recruited him to come to BYU as more of a 5,000, 10,000 meter runner. I didn't feel like he had that blazing leg speed to really pull off being able to be a great miler. Once he determined that he wanted to be a great miler, of course, any great miler breaks 4 minutes for the mile. And so his junior year, he had not yet accomplished that. We went up to Seattle, he didn't get in the right heat, crossed the finish line, 4 minutes flat, .9. And I've never seen him more upset than that. We came back to Seattle 2 weeks later. Not only did he break 4 minutes for the mile, but I think he broke 4 minutes by the most ever for a first-time sub-4 guy. On behalf of Brigham Young University, it is my pleasure to induct Miles Batty into the 2018 West Coast Conference Hall of Honor. Good job, buddy. Keep up the good work.
How many times do you see a guy's time for the mile and his GPA be exactly the same? Amazing. Miles Batty concluded his BYU career back in 2012, one of the most decorated student athletes in Cougars history, an 8-time All-American track and cross country. Batty was named the 2011 National Indoor Track Athlete of the Year. He was He won the mile at the NCAA Indoor National Championships, leading BYU's distance medley relay team to a national title as well. As a senior, he broke the NCAA record in the mile, and later that year was awarded the NCAA Walter Byers Postgraduate Scholarship Award. How impressive is that? The West Coast Conference Postgraduate Scholarship and the NCAA Today's Top 10 Award. From Brigham Young University, Miles Batty.
Congrats. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You were an 8-time All-American. You led your distance medley team to a national title as a senior, and as we saw, you broke that mile time and all those accomplishments. What stands out the most for you?
I think when most people think of track and cross country, you think of an individual sport, but there's definitely a very strong team aspect. So I think the experiences that stand out the most are those that involve just the support of my team or involvement of my team. I'll never forget the national championship in 2011. That was the first time I competed in a national championship in track. I had qualified in both the relay and the mile individually, so I'd be running 3 races between qualifying. And our team, we definitely weren't the favorites as a relay. But apparently my teammates didn't know that. You know, they were talking that we were going to win always, and they really believed. And you know, I was the anchor, and they did their part. They got me the baton in first place. I just did my best to hold on, and we ended up with the title. And it was just such an amazing experience to have that first national championship with those teammates. And I feel like it lit a fire underneath me for the next day. I was able to come back and run the mile as well, and just with their support behind me as well. And so that's always stood with me, is those experiences. Similarly, even breaking the record the next year, you know, I was all alone in New York. My whole team was out in Seattle across the country. So it's kind of a solitary experience, but I later found out they had all gathered together to watch the race. They'd videotaped it, and just watching that, you know, gave me goosebumps to see just the level of excitement they had, and how much they were there just with me every step of the way. So those experiences will always be with me.
Maybe even more impressive than that was Miles Batty in the classroom. You graduated magna cum laude with degrees in neuroscience and exercise sciences, as well as being named the U.S. Track and Cross Country Coaches Association Scholar Athlete of the Year. Looking back, how were you able to manage all that?
I think before I ever realized that I was going to have much of a future in track or have much of a career in that, you know, I had the goal of going to medical school. That was always something I wanted to do. And so even when track became a bigger part of my life, I tried to, you know, not forget that and hold myself to that standard. And I knew that the work and the grades it would take for that. And so I tried to make sure that I didn't allow myself to water down any goals or standards I had for myself, and just stay committed to those academics the same way that I was committing myself to athletics, and not let either one kind of interfere with the goals I was having for myself. And you know, I think there was a lot of support along the way that made that possible, and just to be able to achieve those goals.
And you're still very active today. You're at medical school studying to be an orthopedic surgeon, and you competed in an Ironman competition last year. How did your time at BYU prepare for the life you're leading?
Yeah, I think just similarly, just setting goals and working towards them. Coach Systone, he made a comment there, you know, a lot of success is just centered around the desire that we have for it. And that's something I learned from him and was able to take from my time at BYU. And so even now, even though goals are a little differently, a little more academic focus, focusing on a career, every once in a while I try to find something that I enjoy to challenge myself. And you know, triathlon was something I didn't really know how to swim, but I decided I'd figure that out, and have enjoyed it as well.
Anything else you'd like to add?
I just want to thank the West Coast Conference. My senior year at BYU was the first year that we were part of the West Coast Conference, so I got to participate in the cross-country championships. Very well-organized event. I've always been impressed, enjoyed my time here. It's such an honor. I want to thank everyone at BYU, all coaches, staff, all my countless teammates that helped me to accomplish anything that's gotten me where I am.
Thank you. Congrats.
Our next inductee is from Portland University, Nicole Carr. Please watch.
Nicole was really one of the first WCC women to really be running at a high level nationally, which was kind of a new thing for the WCC. We did not have a history of high level Division I women who were going to nationals or had the potential to be All-American or running the kind of times that Nicole was. So she sort of set this high standard of kind of letting the rest of the NCAA know that hey, here's a conference where we can have good people and we can do big things with athletes coming out of the WCC. She sort of had all the attributes that you want. She was talented, she worked hard, she kind of did everything right, and I think the biggest thing was she was really committed to it. She was really goal-oriented, and if she wanted to accomplish something, then she was going to work towards that goal no matter what. And when you see her name and you see the times that she ran, especially all in that '96 season, then you have to consider her as one of the all-time great athletes that we've ever had here. On behalf of the University of Portland, it is my pleasure to induct Nicole Carr into the 2018 WCC Hall of Honor class.
Well, Nicole almost single-handedly rewrote the record books at the University of Portland. She posted school records in the 800, in the mile, in the 3,000. Her outdoor 1,500 and 3,000 records still stand today. In cross country, she led the pilots to 4 West Coast Conference team titles. She claimed the individual title in 1994. In her final cross country season, she earned All-American and academic All-American honors. Carr competed in the 1996 Olympic trials in the 1,500 and was awarded the NCAA postgraduate scholarship. From the University of Portland, please welcome Nicole Carr.
All right, Nicole, thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
All those records that have been mentioned here today, out of all of them, what was the hardest one to achieve?
Well, looking back, as Randy kind of touched on, you sit here and you're like, oh my gosh, that was over 20 years ago. And so it's hard to remember exactly every race, what I was feeling, but I think in general, the hardest race for me to run was the 800. I was more of a 3K, 5K runner, and there's a little bit more room for error, I guess, in those races. You know, you can make adjustments, that kind of thing, but in the 800, it's, you know, a little over 2 minutes. You're no time to think, you just run, and so it was all out from start to finish for me. So I think every time I ran an 800 was probably the hardest race for me to run.
In cross country, your team won WCC titles all 4 years you were there. What was so special about those teams?
Honestly, we were a very close team. I think University of Portland as a whole, it was a small community. Everyone was supportive of each other, and it just carried over to our teams. It was also a time when the men were really emerging on the national scene, and we saw that, and they were kind of evolving into a powerhouse nationally, and we kind of, as the women's team, wanted to maybe be the beginning of trying to kind of facilitate that for the women.
In track and field, you ranked among the top 5 fastest in the NCAA in both the 3 and 5K as a senior, ending with that 8th place finish at NCAAs in 3K. What do you remember most about that experience?
Well, it was at University of Oregon, so that was about as close to a home meet that I could get. So it was a great way to finish out my collegiate career. People were so supportive. I had a lot of family there, a lot of friends there, and so that's what I remember. It was just a great way to kind of end my collegiate career with all that support and all those friendly faces, and it was a great experience.
And Nicole, is there anything else you'd like to add?
I just would like to say thank you so much to University of Portland for having me on the team there. It was a life-changing experience. Thank you to the WCC for this great honor, and also to Coach Rob Connor. His birthday's Monday, so make sure everyone wishes him a happy birthday. Happy birthday, Rob.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next honoree from Gonzaga University, Roni Turiaf. Please watch.
Roni took Spokane and Gonzaga University by storm. His energy, his look, his swag, I mean, had everybody, I mean, holding their breath, waiting for what he was going to do next.
When he got on the court, he turned into this lion, right? He had the big hair, and he had the attitude to go along with it, and he just played ferociously. Roni was the centerpiece for 2 years after he developed into a player, and everything went through Roni. He kept his guys engaged. He blocked shots, he rebounded, he scored. He led the cheers, he danced, he did everything that you don't see a lot of big guys normally do. But Roni was just full of life, and whatever you asked of Roni, he'll do it.
He's a man for others, and I think during his playing career he was a great teammate here. He was a special teammate in the NBA. I think if you look at the teams he played on, especially those elite teams, whether it was the Heat or those Lakers teams, the relationships he had with everybody on those teams that he still has to this day, and especially those superstars, I think speaks to the type of person he is.
I often get asked, you know, what Roni's up to these days, and it's the greatest answer. I tell him whatever he wants. I mean, he considers himself a wanderlust. He travels the world on a whim and experiences new things, and is always getting engaged in efforts and activities to help others, you know, to grow as people and to help the underprivileged. So it's really, truly inspirational, and sometimes I find myself jealous of the freedom and the life that he's able to live.
On behalf of Gonzaga University,
it's my pleasure to induct Roni Turiaf
into the 2018 West Coast Conference Hall of Honor class.
Congrats, Roni. Love you.
Roni Turiaf is a native of France. As they pointed out, he became the face of the Bulldogs program, and he helped the Zags win 107 games and finish with 3 top 10 national rankings in the AP poll during his 4 years in Spokane. Turiaf was a 2-time honorable mention AP All-American. He averaged nearly 17 points and 8 rebounds in 7 NCAA tournament games. He earned first-team All-West Coast Conference honors 3 times and was named the West Coast Conference Player of the Year in 2005. If you'll permit an editorial comment, I loved doing this guy's games, and he played with the kind of passion that I know every coach in this room will appreciate, that made everybody on his team a better player. Special guy, Roni Turiaf.
Thank you, Roni, for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, this is a place you shined, the WCC tournament, 2005 MVP, averaging 18.8 points per game in the tournament. What's it like coming back, especially after the run Gonzaga had last season, and getting to see where your program is?
I'm definitely more at ease now. I'm not stressed trying to get to the NCAA tournament. But I think it's kind of a very cool opportunity for me to be here, to share this moment with my family. That's their first time in Las Vegas, and it's very interesting to me to see that Gonzaga was already great before I got there, but to just see the growth, and especially like you said, after last year, one of my favorite March Madness moment was being there with all the guys, and then seeing the school spirit and what the Zag community is all about, just being together.
You're talking about that community at Gonzaga. You were so well known for your personality and your love of the Zag fan base. Being from France, how did you manage to fit in so well in Spokane?
So I am from the Caribbean, which is the French department, and I like to mention that because as someone from Martinique, community is what makes us go. Being surrounded by loved ones, people that understand you, people that allows you the freedom to just be yourself. That's what my life was all about. So that's a testament of what the Zag community is all about. I mean, just seeing those people on chairs right there, it's like, those people are the reason why I'm just so happy that I spent 4 years there, and it was some of the best time of my life.
After Gonzaga, you were supposed to go in the second round to the NBA draft, but you underwent heart surgery. How did that experience then go on to affect your career, 10 years in the NBA, and then life in general?
My heart surgery was a pivotal time in my life. I've worked so hard, and everybody here works so hard at their craft. My craft just happened to be basketball, but I've worked so hard at that, and to be told that my two options was to either stop playing basketball and or having the surgery kind of like made me realize, oh wow, okay, so I'm faced with a choice to face my destiny and to keep going or not going. So I decided to go for it, and I think that you guys seen the little video of my crazy self in the basketball court. So I was crazy before the heart surgery, so after the heart surgery, you can only imagine what's really going on in my head.
As we learned in the video, you're a world-class traveler. What are you up to now?
What am I up to now? I don't really know, to tell you the truth. I retired from the game of basketball 3 years ago. I work with the NBA as a brand ambassador with the junior NBA program, so I'm fortunate to travel the world to speak with kids about my journey of overcoming obstacle and so on and so forth. And I'm on my way to try to go to every country in the world. I don't know if I'm going to make it, but I'm going to try to as much as I can. But I'm really just trying to use basketball as a clutch to be able to push, pull, empower people to go for their biggest dream. As a 10 years old, I remember just sitting in my mom's apartment that we just got, and I used to always look up at the window, and I was like, one day I'm going to travel the world, right? But I never thought that was possible, and today I'm doing it. And in the video, it's funny that my assistant coach, Tommy Lloyd, talks about he's jealous of the freedom because he's the one that actually made me believe that it was possible, and he has no idea. But just like my parents or my family members, the guys that are there, he's one of my heroes, because when I met him, I saw what I wanted to be, the same way that were my parents. But this guy was this, he went to travel with his wife for 2 years before they got together. I mean, that's the couple that I want. So I'm just trying to be like the people over there.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, I mean, I would like to definitely thank the West Coast Conference, but for this opportunity, this honor. But I would like to really thank the Gonzaga community, man. I mean, I wish I could just talk to each and every one about each and every one of them, but what I would like to add is, you guys, I may not talk very often, but each and every one of you guys means so much to me. Like, there is moments in my life that happened between the two of us, and it's the reason why I'm still here these days. And I'm thankful for my family, and my college roommate, Brian Markison, that is here. You guys put up with me and my crazy self, and I'm thankful for that, and I will always be grateful, and I wish everybody the best. If you guys looking for a travel buddy, I'm always available.
Thank you. Congrats.
Thank you.
From the University of Pacific, our next honoree, Ken Earl. Take a look.
He was an All-American. He was all most valuable player in the BC2A, played in the NC2A tournaments, won a lot of tournaments, had a low stroke average, and he was a great leader for a team, performance, and he was my conduit with the team. There was a stretch in the junior and senior year where he never finished lower than a third in a tournament. His practice ethic was legend. And it was not long practice. It was, we called him total focus Ken. He could come and practice and get more done in an hour than other players might in 2 hours. I don't think he ever missed a class or an assignment. He never missed practice. I don't think he missed a social event. He was a whole package. So on behalf of the university, I, Glenn Albaugh, am honored and my pleasure to induct Ken Earl into the 2018 West Coast Conference Hall of Honor class. Ken, in cowboy talk, you know my dad was a cowboy, and you know my dad. He said, if you got a good horse, you always ride him with a loose rein. So that's what we did. Congratulations, Ken.
Well, that loose horse was the most decorated golfer in Pacific history. Ken Earl earned conference MVP honors in 1983 and again in 1984. During his tenure, he led the Tigers to 4 team tournament titles in 3 years. He was an individual medalist in 7 tournaments from 1982 to 1984, on his way to earning All-Conference and All-American honors 3 times. In the classroom, he was an academic All-American twice. He finished in the top 25 at the 1983 and the 1984 NCAA championships. From the University of Pacific, Ken Earl. Ken?
Ken, thanks for being here today.
Very happy to be here. Thank you.
As mentioned, 2-time conference MVP. You led the Tiger team to 4 titles in 3 years. Describe to me some of your memories at Pacific.
Some of the key memories I have are really the golf coach, Glenn Albaugh, who you just saw, really fostered a team environment, allowed individuals to be individuals, but created a very cohesive team. I was fortunate to have really 2 separate teams. My freshman year, I played with 4 seniors and a junior, and then a new class came in my sophomore year, and got to play with them for 3 years, and that was very, very exciting. You know, also fond memory was just what the coach taught us as players was to support each other, but do the best you could be as a team.
Off the course, you were also an All-American academic, both 83 and 84. How did you balance that exceptional effort off the course and in the classroom?
Pacific is a unique university, small in class size, allowed us the opportunity to become close to our professors. Coach Albaugh also, really encouraged balance between, golf, academics, and social. And he allowed us to join a fraternity. Most of us were fraternity brothers, as well as teammates, and that really made the team a special team.
You had some nationally ranked finishes in NCAA tournaments. If any stand above the rest, which ones and why?
I would say the 83, 84 NC2As were the most memorable because we went as a team. Individually, I did well, but as a team, we finished in the top 15 both those years, which was a great accomplishment for Pacific. I think winning as a small school against some of the bigger schools was also, very exciting as a team and as an individual. It was a great experience.
And Ken, anything else you'd like to add?
I'd like to thank the University of Pacific, for the opportunity. Certainly Coach Albaugh for giving me the chance to be the best I could be on the golf course and in the classroom. I want to thank my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time at Pacific. She also graduated from Pacific. My family for being here. Thank you to the WCC for this wonderful honor. And I would, encourage everybody to support golf, or especially the young people coming up playing golf, because it's a lifelong support that you can, really meet great people and do good things in your life. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Randy Wolf, when your baby's born, put a golf club in his hands or her hands. Wish my parents had. Our next honoree is from the University of San Francisco, Suzanne Enos O'Mara. Please watch.
Sue was a special basketball player because she had skill, a great sense of the game, awareness of where everyone was on the court, and would find the best players she was playing with and make them better. Sue played two sports. She got the aid as being a basketball player and a volleyball player, and she was a very good volleyball player, maybe a better volleyball player than basketball, which is kind of hard to say. The first woman to ever accept an athletic scholarship or offered an athletic scholarship, probably in Northern California. I looked at her and I go, this is the right person. She was smiling, she was having a good time. By far the best player on the court, with a bunch of kids who were playing with her were just not her level, and she made them all better. And they loved her. They just loved her. And you just felt that she was the person would be a good start, the right person, the right attitude, because it was a big thing. Title IX was huge. It was changing the face of women's sports and sports all over the world. And you didn't want to get the wrong person. So Sue was the person. And we've seen her, that was ideal. On behalf of USF, I am proud to induct Sue Enos O'Mara into the WCC 2018 Hall of Honor.
Well, as the coach said, Sue was a two-sport athlete. She played basketball and she played volleyball. She was the first female athlete ever to receive an athletic scholarship at the University of San Francisco back in 1976. She was part of USF's first ever women's basketball team, played 3 seasons of basketball and volleyball from 1976 through 1979. She was named the basketball team's MVP as a freshman. She also participated in the 1976 U.S. Olympic basketball trials. From the University of San Francisco, please welcome Suzanne Enos O'Mara.
First off, thanks for being here today.
Thank you.
So, Sue, you were the first female athlete to ever receive an athletic scholarship at USF.
The university had made a real commitment to women's athletics in terms of program development and scholarships. So we athletes were really determined to make the women's program successful and competitive. But it was a young program, a startup, and so there were a lot of bumps along the road and a lot of growing pains to go through. So, for instance, our coaches were all part-time. So my basketball coach, Walt Bugler, who you saw in the video, father of 5, a small business owner, he would work his small business during the day and then come to campus in the evenings and weekends for practices and games. We also, that first season, shared facilities with the men, and so it was not unusual for us to be getting our ankles taped in the training room while sitting right next to Bill Cartwright and all of his amazing teammates, and that made it pretty special. And back then there was a real sense of excitement on campus. There was a real sense of camaraderie between the male and female athletes, and we all felt very supported by the university.
Well, now, since then, you've gotten your master's at Stanford and you're a longtime educator and administrator in the Bay Area. How are you trying to shape the next generation of student athletes?
The kids I teach, the junior high students I work with, have so many more opportunities, and it's been really gratifying for me to watch the progress of the evolution of athletics for both boys and girls. The kids I teach, they can do things on the court and on the field that I didn't even try until high school or even college, and I think that's really exciting. And with my students, I just try to really stress the importance of being able to work with others towards a common goal, which is so important in athletics and life. And I also want them to have a real appreciation for the opportunities that they have. And I want them to have a real sense of pride and satisfaction in always doing and being their best.
I'm not sure if you remember this, but your coach had mentioned a story in which you were a key role on a bus trip back in the Bay Area of picking up a Hell's Angel on the side of the road.
I have no recollection of that. It was 40 years ago, but you think I'd remember that.
We gotta get Walt out here and see what that's
about. Walt would put us in the van and take us places, and I'm sure there were many stories, and that must have been a good one.
Well, anything else you'd like to add?
Yes. I'd like to congratulate my fellow inductees. It's a pleasure sharing this honor with you today. I want to thank the WCC for not only putting on this amazing event, but for giving student athletes a place to play and a place where they can pursue their passion and follow their dreams. I'd like to thank my USF family, former teammates, coaches, professors, administrators, past and present. I am so very proud of the part of history that I have with women's sports on the hilltop. And finally, I want to thank my family here today. I actually met my husband John on the basketball court at USF during freshman year orientation week. A bunch of us were shooting hoops on the floor of Memorial Gym, and John challenged two other guys to a game of 2-on-2 pickup basketball. And as a carrot, he added, "And I'll even play with that girl over there." So needless to say, we won the game, and we've been a strong team ever since. My kids are here too. Douglas, our oldest, graduated from the University of San Francisco with a master's in environmental management. Our other son, Doug, and his new wife, Alex, talented basketball players in their Mark. My other son, Mark, and his wife, Alex, talented basketball players themselves, are here tonight. And I just want to thank you guys for supporting me today and every day. Thank you very much.
Sue, I think coaches are still kind of like that, part-time guys. I know Mark Few, I think, has a little grocery store in Spokane, and Randy Bennett runs a babysitting service. Our next inductee is from Santa Clara University. Please take a look at Cameron Rast.
He is one of the finest human beings that I've ever known. Aside from being an exceptional player, aside from being a captain of the Olympic team for the United States in the Barcelona Olympics in 1992, aside from being a captain that led Santa Clara University to a national championship with a 20-0-3 record in 1989, he was truly a leader of men. Cam was a special soccer player because he exuded a level of confidence. It was not cockiness, it was literally confidence that allowed others to follow him. He was a great communicator. He was exceptional from a tactical standpoint and knowing how to communicate on the field. He always, from a technical standpoint, controlled the center back position as any elite athlete would, but he did it in such a way that players around him always wanted to be under his leadership. Cam knew what to do, when to do it, and how to say it. Cam was one of the finest players in collegiate soccer during his era. Cam was there in probably some of the greatest moments of my life as a coach. But Cam was also there for when things didn't go so well for me as a coach. I've lived the highs of highs and the lows of lows, and Cam was one of those individuals that was always there. And it's always easy to be around someone that's very successful in the good times. But Cam has this ability to be compassionate, and that's the part of his coaching that I think is truly exceptional. On behalf of Santa Clara University, it is my pleasure to induct Cameron Rast into the 2018 West Coast Conference Hall of Honor. Congratulations, Cam. I can't think of anybody that is more deserving than you. I know your parents are there congratulating you and honoring you. I know your brother, your twin brother is there honoring you, as is your entire family. So congratulations. I'm very, very proud of you.
I had about 8 pages of notes on the accomplishments of Cameron Rast, but I'll give you the highlights. Men's soccer coach at Santa Clara University now for the past 16 years, 2-time All-American sweeper. He helped earn Santa Clara's 1989 co-national championship. That was when he was a sophomore. He earned his first All-America selection, scoring a career-high 30 points on 11 goals. Santa Clara finished with the nation's top ranking that year and a share of the national title. In 1991, he was a finalist for both the Herman Trophy and the Missouri Athletic Club Award, both given to the nation's top collegiate men's player. He's the only 2-time first-team All-American in school history. He was the captain of the 1989 and 1991 teams and the defensive MVP. From Santa Clara, please welcome Cameron Rast.
Congrats, Cam. Thanks for being here today.
Yeah, I'm very humbled to be here.
I want to take you back a bit to that 1989 co-national championship under pretty crazy circumstances. What did it mean to accomplish that?
You know, 1989 was a year that was fantastic for us, but it really wasn't 1989 where the journey began. It was 1988, as a year before. Coming in as a freshman, we came in with a great class of guys, and we all had goals for the university and for our program. And we missed out on the very first year of the NCAA tournament. And we felt we were deserved. We had beaten great teams and national powers like a UCLA, and eventually the national champion from that year. We had beat them earlier in the year, but we were foregone on the ability to get into the tournament. It was that moment that I think forged the resolve for us as a team, that we couldn't afford a mistake. We couldn't afford a misstep. And the work that the guys put in and the amount of focus that everybody gave to the common goal was remarkable. And you know, as I think was mentioned, you know, our record that year was 20-0-3, undefeated. Still the only undefeated team to go an entire season in the NCAA since. And I think we're really proud of that. The championship for sure, but just the commitment to make sure that it happened. And so what a year. The game itself was in very adverse conditions. It was in Piscataway, New Jersey at Rutgers University. It was sub-zero. So the field was actually frozen. There's a fantastic excerpt of video of me sliding into the post and falling down that my teammates love to show how clumsy I was. But the game was a battle, and I think just a trial, but just a great experience in what was a fantastic year.
A lot of personal accolades as well as your time there. If you can remember anything in particular that stands out to you.
You know, the personal accolades, and I think it's kind of a common theme for a lot of us. I think we while that is recognition, it's not about that for any of us. I think what it's about is who we did it with and what we were able to accomplish together. So, you know, for me, that's what brings back just the really strong memories. The personal stuff, I'm honored, I'm humbled to be here, and especially amongst such a great cohort of athletes from each of these wonderful schools. But it really means nothing without the rest.
It's now your 16th year as a Bronco head coach. You were WCC Coach of the Year 5 times, and your current career record makes you Santa Clara's winningest coach. What's been your favorite aspect of this coaching role?
You know, I think the common message from a lot of us is that we as educators or coaches, we're here to help teach and lead our next generation of young men and women to be leaders of this great nation. And for us, I think that's probably the most important thing to me and what we can do. And it's not surprising we have educators, and it's not surprising we have coaches, because it's a great way to touch and to share experience for all of us to be able to allow our experiences to help them make great decisions and to be leaders of their life. And so that's what I think we try to do, is to empower our next generation to be young men of conscience, competence, compassion, which is our mission at Santa Clara.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah. First off, Randy, good luck. It's a wonderful experience. Roni, need a traveling partner? I'm your man. To the rest, I think I'm pretty sure I should have ran track, because I could have been a much better student athlete, not just a good athlete. So that's fantastic. But you know, on a real humbling note, to the West Coast Conference for the leadership that you provide to great universities that empower our next generation of young men and women to go out and do good in the world. So thank you for your leadership. To our university, Santa Clara University, for the humble honor for nominating me and thinking I'm worthy as an individual to accept this honor. To my family, none of us get here as a solo. None of us get here by ourselves. So, as Steve had said, sorry, I've got dry eyes, so this naturally happens. You know, my family is unwavering. So thank you for being here. I won't go any farther than that. But probably, and Randy, this is probably most particularly for you, the most important thing that I can do, and the most proud, separate of the accolades of what we've done, is that to my wife, she bet me $100 I would cry. Damn. So she won the first bet here in Vegas. So to my wife, there's nothing better I can be than a good husband. And to my kids, nothing I can be that's more important and is a higher accolade than be a good father to you. So to all of you, thank you. I hope the magnitude, and I think this is finally what I'll wrap up with, is I hope the magnitude of this event brings back the fondest of memories for each of us and for all of those that supported us that we sit here. So to my teammates, this is me sitting as a representative of you guys up here. Thank you.
Thank you. Congrats.
Yeah, I better hand this back. You want that?
And finally, our anchor man for today, from Loyola Marymount, Brian Quinn.
He was a special athlete. He was one of the best ball handlers I've ever played with, and he was a contortionist on the court. He would get himself into positions that I haven't seen, other than perhaps going to Cirque du Soleil, individuals get themselves into with respect to going after a loose ball or playing defense. A tenacious defensive player, a great ball handler, more importantly, a tremendous teammate and a wonderful leader. He was our captain. The same qualities that he had on the basketball court existed when he played baseball here at LMU. His classmates, his teammates, the children and kids who played for him as a coach all look up to him as a role model, and that to me is an honor that not too many people can say they have. He has given back to the educational institutions that made him the man he is today. He is serving as the chairman of the board for Sarah High School and making that school a much better school from an educational standpoint. He has come back to Loyola and volunteered his time to help raise money for the athletic programs, which he loved so dearly, while both a player and an athletic director at LMU. He has received numerous awards from his work and efforts as an athletic director, including the Lifetime Achievement Award, and I believe he is in the NC2A Division I Athletic Directors Hall of Fame. So to say that Brian has given back would be an understatement. Brian's whole life has been, in my opinion, one of giving. On behalf of LMU, it is my pleasure to induct Brian Quinn into the 2018 West Coast Conference Hall of Honor class.
So do you think Brian Quinn has done it all? His student athlete on the basketball court as well as on the baseball field. During his basketball career, he averaged 13 points a game at a time when 13 points a game was really special. It was amongst the league's leading scorers. His team won the West Coast Conference Championship back in 1960 and 61 and advanced to the NCAA tournament. In 1985, Quinn returned to his alma mater. He was the director of athletics. His teams then won 9 West Coast Conference titles and advanced to the NCAA playoffs 11 different times, including the 1986 Baseball College World Series and the Elite Eight in the 1990 NCAA basketball tournament, and who could forget that team. In 1990, Brian began focusing on fundraising activities for athletics as the executive director of the athletic development. From Loyola Marymount University, please welcome Brian Quinn.
Thank you, Brian, for being here today.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
I want to start out first with your time as a student athlete, both basketball and baseball at LMU, with that basketball team winning the WCC tournament in 1960 and 61. What do you remember most as being a student athlete at LMU?
Oh, friendships, relationships, meeting wonderful people, the wonderful Jesuits that were so good and kind to us. That's what I remember a lot. And from a personal point of view, beating USC in the NCAA tournament, that was really fun. You always love beating SC in anything, but to beat them in basketball in the tournament was special. So for me, it was just really all about friendships and relationships that I have to this day.
You came back to LMU as the director of athletics during some very successful athletic years in your tenure. LMU had the 9 WCC titles, advanced to the playoffs 11 times. What was your agenda for turning that program around?
Well, first of all, you have to have the support of the university, and I had that support from the university, especially from Laney Beauvais, who was the vice president, and from others on the campus that were very supportive of me personally. I was one of the youngest athletic directors in the country, and then I retired as one of the oldest athletic directors in the country. And I noticed when they have the film and everything up there, they don't have any highlights because I think the film was so old and that they haven't lasted to this day. But I think what we tried to do, most importantly, again, I always use relationships and accessibility, being as accessible as you can to your coaches and to your student athletes. I loved, just absolutely loved working with the students, and I actually would scrimmage with the men's and women's volleyball teams. The coaches had asked me to do that, so I did that quite a few times. And I think that with relationships were what were so important to me, and really hiring and retaining quality coaches. You do that and you'll be successful.
And as a part of that time when you were there, the 1986 Baseball College World Series and 1990 basketball team to the Elite Eight. What was most special for you during that time period?
Oh, both of those. First of all, taking baseball, love of my life. Still friends with the baseball kids off that team. Still see them, still enjoy them quite a bit. Going to the College World Series for the first time for LMU, and my first time, was remarkable. You know, when I went to Cal State Fullerton as the athletic director, of course we went all the time, almost every year practically, but it was very, very special at LMU, and I always remember that. The basketball team was the joy and agony of losing Hank Gathers that particular year when he died on the court. And he was a very, very special young man, very special. That was really, really hard, and watching our kids pick it up and go on and succeed was such a tribute to Paul Westhead and everyone around them. That's something I'll never forget.
And then just lastly, Brian, what else would you like to add?
I'm sorry?
What else would you like to add?
What else would I like to add? Oh my goodness gracious. I think I would like to thank, well, obviously I want to thank the West Coast Conference. I'm almost embarrassed to be up here and humbled when I knew and saw the other recipients. I just about, oh my goodness, what will I say? Why am I up there with such quality human beings and athletes? So I'd like to say congratulations to all of you. It's just I mean it. I am so humbled to be up here. Secondly, I want to thank LMU and Dr. Bill Husak and Dr. Beauvais and the people there that supported me and put this forth. That means an awful lot to me. And I want to thank my family, and I'm sure most of you have probably seen a few of them running around. We have 13 grandchildren, and my love of my life, we've been married for 55 years in June, and she's a true coach's wife. She never complained. I was gone all the time, and I'd like to thank them and thank the family that came, Maureen and Barry, and 4 of the little monkeys back there that are entertaining you. So I think that would be it.
Thank you. Congrats.
Thank you very much.
I can empathize with Brian. I've been doing this for so long. When I started, scripts like this were done with a chisel and granite. They were a lot heavier. That's just about a wrap for us on this 2018 West Coast Conference Hall of Honor induction. On behalf of our interim commissioner, Herbert, and the entire West Coast Conference staff, I want to thank you all for joining us this morning, and a special thanks to the 10 Hall of Honor inductees for making this the special event that it was. And if you would, please hang around afterward, come back up here to the stage. They want to get a group photo of all of you, so all of you inductees, please do that. And last but not least, I want to thank our membership, our administrators, our coaches, our student athletes in attendance for your commitment to celebrating student athletes, coaches, and administrators across the West Coast Conference. We look forward to seeing you all next door at the basketball games. And one final note from me, it's really an honor for me to be here. I've been around this conference for a long time, but a group like this, not only are these people, everybody that you met up here today, great athletes, but what great people. And that's really what this conference is all about. And I can only say just very personally that I'm just thrilled to be a part of it, have been for all these years, and hope to continue being so. It's really special, and these are the kind of people that it produces. Thank you all very much.